Linda St. Peter and Lisa Kushner are here representing Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights. Linda St. Peter is a Maine native, mother of 4, grandmother of 6, and has been married for 55 years. She's worked as a teacher, parenting facilitator in the insurance sector, and is a small business owner with her husband. Linda is an avid advocate for family planning, a woman's right to choose, and a proud member of GRR. Lisa Kushner became a sexuality educator and licensed psychotherapist as a result of the experience she will share with us tonight. A 45-year resident of the Belfast area, she and Patrick Walsh have raised 2 exceptional children. She is not a grandmother, nor is she related to the president's son-in-law. Please welcome Linda and Lisa.
Linda is 7 days out of a hip surgery. So we are members of Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights. We're here to talk about reproductive justice, the right to have children, the right to not have children, and the right to raise those children in sustainable communities. GER works to secure these rights for future generations. Women should be able to make their own reproductive decisions about whether or how to plan a family, to use contraceptives, or to end a pregnancy. We have struggled for this right throughout history. The days of backstreet abortions and coat hangers are not so long ago. These rights are currently under threat. From January to September of this year, 59 abortion restrictions have been enacted in 19 states, including 26 abortion bans. Many states are now taking even further actions to destroy access and criminalize women's reproductive decisions. A woman may decide to end a pregnancy for many reasons. We believe a woman has the right to decide whether her embryo should grow, whether they're in her body or stored in a freezer. Here are some personal stories.
I thought I'd done everything right. I graduated college with a degree in math, married my best friend and sweetheart. We grew up Catholic. My mother was one of 18, I was one of 8. Birth control was not allowed. In Washington, D.C., I interviewed for math jobs at government and national agencies. When asked my plans for children, my naive answer was, we'll have as many children as God gives us. Without a promise that I wouldn't get pregnant, I was not hired. I might have been a calculator in Hidden Figures. Here I am in the front of the National Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. Notice the difference in maternity wear. No spandex. We had a boy, soon got pregnant with our second son while trying the rhythm method. I tried to help use the pill to regulate my periods, couldn't tolerate them. I was fitted for a diaphragm, had a daughter, and a year later had a second daughter. By the age of 29, I had 4 children aged 5 and under. Without adequate birth control, I was becoming the old woman in the shoe who had so many children she didn't know what to do. My Catholic doctor refused to tie my tubes during delivery. I was unable to travel to another hospital with a newborn and 3 young children. I was pushed to the limit and knew then that I would seek an abortion if I got pregnant again. My husband solved the problem. He had a vasectomy. We left the Catholic Church. And this wall of pictures shows how much we love our children and need the time to enjoy them.
I was a City College sophomore living at home when I got pregnant at 19. It was 1966 and abortion was illegal. I never considered continuing the pregnancy. I was expecting I would have to die with it. After days of phone calls, I finally got the name of an abortionist. The cost was $400. I told my twin brother, who insisted we tell our parents, My mother slapped me and my father froze. But they ended up driving me 3 hours away to a small office building in another state. It was 5 o'clock on a Friday in the fall. The hallways were dark when we entered the building from a side entrance. We found our way to a dentist's office. A receptionist told us they didn't want anyone to know they were in there at that time of day. The abortionist was an orderly at a hospital who had learned the technique from doctors. I had a pelvic exam and a plug of surgical seaweed was inserted into my cervix. In the motel that night, I had severe cramps. My parents worried while I pretended I was not terrified. The next day, I had a D&C. We didn't speak of this as a family for many years. When my father was in his 90s, he spoke about World War II for the first time. He had been a mechanic in an Army field hospital that followed the fighting. I asked him how he managed his fear, and he said it was nothing. The most afraid I've ever been was when we went for that abortion you had. Our society seems to want to punish women for having sex or getting pregnant. They should consider the effect of that punishment on those closest to her. My parents were working class then, but had jobs, a car, and could help cobble together the money. Most women lack such resources and support.
The legal right to abortion is meaningless for people who can't access one. Poverty and discrimination create barriers for low-income women, women of color, women who live in rural areas. We must take down those barriers. In Maine, access to abortion services is improving. Physician assistants and nurse practitioners are now able to provide abortions. All insurance plans that now cover prenatal care will soon be able to cover abortion care. Representative Jane McCroat, a GER member, sponsored the bill. This man's sign says it all. I didn't sweat in Afghanistan fighting to give people rights, only to have my wife and daughters lose their rights at home. Like this man, we stand up for reproductive justice. We hope everyone will help, not just grandmothers, women young and old, men of all ages. Stand up for the rights to have children or not have children, and to raise our children in safe, sustainable communities. Thank you.